What's up, guys? It's your boy Zaza Ball, and today I just wanted to talk to you guys about how I became a New York State certified teacher. Um, I wanted to have this conversation and talk about this just to get it off my chest. I just finished something that was really, really important to me. I just finished something that was really, really tough to do. And it's layered, and so I just want to unpack it a little bit, while it's still fresh on my mind and fresh on my heart. With that being said, I'll jump right into it. So how I became a teacher. So it's 2026, it's February 2026. So about 3.5 years ago, I moved back to New York City, where I'm from, the South Bronx, in hopes to pursue my master's and become a New York State teacher. I tried to become a teacher up in the town I was living in, upstate. That's where I went to college, but I couldn't become a teacher out there. They said I need like a certification and all this other stuff. And so I was just doing research on how I could get my certification and get paid and everything like that. And so I decided to end up moving where the money was and where the opportunity was, which was right back here where I grew up at. And the whole reason I even started thinking about teaching, if I backtrack a little bit more, was in August, like July, August of 2022. I got fired from my job where I was working in a high school. And basically my mentor, he was like, yo, now that you're not there anymore, I think, you kind of need something where it's a little more stable, where you're actually making some real money and some income. I think you should become a teacher. And I had been avoiding trying to become a teacher for the longest. And so it was just like, yo, you know what? I ain't making no bread. I'm only making $13.50 an hour working part-time at a news station. I got a 4-year degree. I got to pay off my college loans. I wanted to pay off my debt, right? And so, yeah, I just decided, I'm going to just move back and, try to stack this bread up. My man told me, he said it, he like, yo, Z, when you move back to the city, man, make sure you save up your first year. If you're making 50K, because that's how much they gave me, save up 20K, man, feel me? And so, I was just focused on that, moving back to the city, stacking up my bread, getting a little bit of experience, and then eventually paying off all my college loan debt, for me. So, and eventually I ended up doing that. I'll talk about all that in a different video. But, so basically, my first 2 years, I worked in a charter school. It's called Zeta Charter Schools. And, it gave me my basis for teaching. It taught me how to teach, how to be a good teacher. It taught me classroom management, right? It taught me like how to lesson plan, and how to prep materials. It taught me just like different skills, just like how to show up on time. I mean, I already had that skill though, for real. But, it just taught me a lot of different things, but it was a real emphasis on the classroom management at the Zeta Charter School, you know what I mean? So, that was really, really heavy, they was really, really focused on that. And, so from there, I did my 2 years at the Zeta Charter School place. And, I was a kindergarten teacher in my first year. And then in my second year, I was a science teacher, right? And so it was just both like really good experiences, especially being a kindergarten teacher and being a science teacher. And it's like being a kindergarten teacher taught me a lot. It just taught me like patience, it taught me like so much stuff. It taught me how to interact with children, interact with kids. Because before, I didn't even really know how to talk to kids that much, I would just, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, yo, these children, what do I say to them? But over time, I gradually learned how to actually build a relationship with a kid or with a child, with a toddler, and it felt very it warms your heart, so yeah, it was cool. Then in my second year, my principal, she moved me over to be a science teacher. So I was teaching 6 classes a day, right? And so as I was teaching 6 classes a day, it was different because now I'm dealing with 150 kids a day. I got to remember all their names. And by one point, I had memorized all their names, 150 students, right? And so that was in my second year. In my second year, I also started my master's degree. Right, Zeta had a program where they put you on track to get your master's degree, fully paid for, through Touro University and through Relay University. But by the time I started my master's, they was doing through Touro University. So you get your master's in general education 1 through 6 and special education grades 1 through 6 through Touro University, fully paid for. and everything. And yeah, so I was on track. I was getting my master's, I was doing my thing, I was making my bread, you know what I mean? Feel me? You know, and it was Gucci. I mean, it was Gucci. And so I like science. I like teaching science. It was cool. I liked it a little more than teaching just like the kindergarten class, because I felt like the content was like a little more fun in a way, versus just teaching like reading and books and phonics and spelling and a little bit of math here and there. That's what I was doing in the first year. And you know, I also had a co-teacher in my first year as well. In my first year, it's all the classes have 2 teachers in charter schools, right? And so that's how that works. But when I was a science teacher in my second year of teaching, I only had one. It was just me. So I really had to learn classroom management. Feel me? I really had to be like on top of my game with that classroom management stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, that was that. But my second year, you know, everything was going well. But throughout that year, I had like a coworker, and she always had it out for me. You know what I mean? And she was on my science team. She was on my team. And so like she would always go back to the boss and like report me and stuff like that. And like I think she was just jealous of me. You know, she seemed like a high achiever herself, and like, but she seemed like really competitive. Like she was always just trying to like outdo me, or like, you feel me? Like, so she would go back to the boss and like snitch on me and stuff, like to make herself seem better. And like it was her first year there, and it was my second year there. And like, you know, because I was there longer and everybody knew me, everybody messed with me, the kids, the students, the faculty and staff, everybody loved me. You feel me? Like I was just like clouded up in that school low key, and you know, I was doing really good. But I think she was jealous of that. I think she saw that. She didn't like that. So any chance she got to like misconstrue things or go tell the boss on me, like she would go run and do that. And so like over time, like we clashed heads and we butted heads like multiple times throughout that school year. And then it got to the point where it was like April had came around, and like we just had an interaction, and it just went south. And basically she went to the boss and reported me to the main principal this time, because she used to report me to the assistant principal, right? But now this time she reported me to the main principal, and what happened was basically they let me go type shit. And so I got fired from in my second year. At the end of the school year, it was only like 8 weeks left of the school year. And that's the crazy thing about charter schools, man. Like, be careful working in charter schools, because you don't got a union, you know what I mean? So they could fire you at any point in the year. And so I got let go right after that in early April. And so I was out of the job, you know. Thankfully, I was able to still continue my master's, right? They finished paying, Zeta finished paying for the second semester, but they didn't like really. After that, Toro called me one day over the summer 2024. And they're like, yo, you still getting your master's? Like, Zeta said they're not paying for it no more. I'm like, yeah, I still want to do the program. I'll do it. And they're like, all right, yeah, you could do it. You feel me? But now you got to pay for your master's this time for the upcoming semesters. And you got to take 2 extra practicum courses, pretty much. And I'll go into that in a whole nother video. But it just made my program. It extended my program out by an extra like six months. I was supposed to finish in May of 2025, but I ended up finishing in December of 2025, so about a month and a half ago. And I had to pay out of pocket the last remaining, like 16K, because it was like 4K a semester to go there, I think. Yeah, like 4K, right? And so I was paying that. Yeah, Zeta paid for the first 2 semesters, so I had that free. Had I stayed with the Zeta program, my whole entire master's degree would have been free, out of pocket, no debt. That'd have been an extra 16K in my pocket, man. Put that in the market, man. Invested that, man, in the S&P 500. But it's all good though, feel me? Like, you live and you learn. And so, you know, it's a lot of lessons I can go into and impact there too. But yeah, so what ended up happening was I had to connect down at my community board office here in the Bronx. And he had connected me. He like, yo, I know the principal over at this other public school in the neighborhood. Like, yo, get with the DOE, man. Like, I'm like, all right, bet, I'm gonna look into it and all that. So I started doing my research on the DOE, right? This is like the springtime, like right after I get fired, springtime, summertime. And I'm working my tail off trying to get in the DOE, you feel me? But I had a lot going on at the same time too, and I'll get into that in a later video. But I was dealing with so much stuff, you know, and it was hard for me to get in the DOE. The principal and them, they wanted me, but the way it works is the DOE has to hire you first, and then you get assigned to a school. And so I couldn't get into the DOE. You know, the school wanted me, but I couldn't get into the DOE. It was mad hard, and it was tough. I was getting discouraged and everything. But I just knew I didn't want to go back to charter schools. The DOE, feel me? They got union benefits. You get a pension. You feel me? Like, you get way more. You come to school not as so early as charter schools. You come to school later. So in my third year, I'm finally, like, it's the summertime, and I finally get into the DOE, and the school in my neighborhood picked me up. And so now they like, yo, you about to be teaching special education 12 to 1 kids, you know what I mean? And you're gonna be working with a small group of kids, and they all gonna have IEPs, they all gonna be special needs, you feel me? And you're just gonna have to make it work. And I get there and I'm like, to be honest, principal, I don't think I'm fit for this job. You know, I just came from a charter school where I was teaching science and kindergartner, and it was all like, you know, top of the line students, really smart. Like, I don't know if I'm fit for this type of job to teach special education kids. And I told her I wasn't gonna take the gig, and you know, but something kept weighing on my heart and my mind, like, yo, like, take that gig. And my mom kept telling me to take the gig, like, take the gig, you know, it's better for you in your situation right now. And then I'm talking to my little brother one day, you know what I mean, right? He just said something to me. We on a walk and all that. He said something to me, right? He like, yo, like, I think you should just take the job. He's like, yo, it might be a good job. Like, you don't gotta wake up as early. He said something simple. He like, yo, you don't gotta wake up as early, you know, and the kids, they could really look up to you. Boom, I'm like, huh. Like, yo, when he said that, I was like, yo, like, that shit just hit me, bro. And I went to bed that night, I couldn't sleep. Mind you, I'm thinking that I'm gonna go to KIPP, right? I'm thinking that I'm gonna go to KIPP, and KIPP was gonna pay me some good bread, right? That first year, they was offering me like 8,000-9,000 more than the DOE was offering me at the time. And I'm like, yo, like, I might go to KIPP. And I couldn't sleep. I was supposed to go into KIPP the next morning or the day after that. And I'm like, yo, I don't know if I could do this, to be honest. I'm like, the way this is looking, like, yo, bro, that it's just hitting me. Like, I couldn't sleep that night. I kept tossing and turning. I still remember it. I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna lie. Nah, I gotta go to that public school. I gotta go to the DOE. And yo, bro, listen, that was the best decision that I've made in the past 2 years, was to join the DOE. I ain't gonna lie, man. You see me smiling right now because I'm happier now. I'm more at peace, man. The DOE was one of the best decisions that I made as a young adult in my career, because I get the union. So now they can't just fire me with no reason, for no reason. It's really hard to fire somebody that have a union, first and foremost. That's with any job. And then 2, yeah, I mean, it's right here in my neighborhood. I can walk to school. I don't got to take public transportation, right? 3, I'm learning how to do a variety of skill sets. I'm learning how to work with special needs kids. I'm learning so much, you know what I mean? I'm learning how to write IEPs, all of this stuff. And it didn't turn out to be nowhere near as bad as I thought. Like, I'm learning that these kids is kids too, and they're smart. And I'm feeling like it's a smaller group of students, and I'm feeling like it's more like a family in the school. Like, you feel me, from the principals to the people there. Like, you know, these are the same people that they actually grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, neighborhoods that I'm from, and it just felt more like a community. You know, it felt like more like a little bit more like a family. Like, you know, I'm not trying to sit here and be like every work environment feel like a family, and mine don't always feel like that either. But I'm just saying, like, the vibe I was getting, it was just better than the charter school I was at. Feel me? And so I took the skills I learned from my 2 years at the charter school, and I brought it right to the DOE. You know, and this is my 4th year now teaching. So I'm in my 2nd year in the DOE, and it's been going pretty smooth, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm just excited to keep, you know, growing and stuff like that. And I finally, like I said, I finally finished my master's. That was the hardest part of the whole thing. In order to become a teacher in New York State, you need your master's degree, your MSCD, and then you need to take licensure exams, and then you need to take multiple workshops, like 3 to 6 different workshops, like 4 to 6 different workshops. You know what I mean? So you got to get your master's for 2 to 2.5 years, right? I was working and getting my master's at the same time, right? You need your master's. You need 5 different tests, right? And then you need like 4 to 6 workshops. And I'll write that down right quick for you. You need master's degree. This is just New York State. You need 4 to 6 workshops. And then after your master's degree and 4 to 6 workshops, you also need 5 like teacher exams. And I'll go into more detail more about all of this. But I just wanted to kind of just give a brief overview of it. You know what I mean? This is the bulk of it. Like, this is the bulk of it for me. This is how you're gonna get your credentials on paper and your licensure from the state. And so now I finished all of these things, right? You know what I mean? And now that I'm finished with all of these things, now I'm just waiting. I'm chilling. I'm waiting, and I'm sitting back and I'm waiting patiently for my master's to come in the mail, my state licensure to upload on the Teach systems. You know what I mean? So you could go on the state, you could look at my name, and you'll see my name as a certified New York State teacher. Feel me? That's a feat. That's an accomplishment. I'm proud of myself, and I don't give myself enough credit for it. But that's why I'm making this video, because it's like, yo, like, I'm here now and I'm announcing it, and you know, not in a braggadocious way. And I meant to start this video off first by just telling, you know, Jesus Christ, Yahweh, that I'm the reason. He's the reason that I'm even here right now. Now I was able to finish this process and come to the conclusion of this process, because I had almost quit on myself after I got fired, and I was going through so much during that fire. Like, being fired was only one part of the struggle I was going through, right, during that time when I got let go. That was only one thing. I was going through multiple other things. It was layered, you know what I mean? And so God is the reason that I was able to finish my program. God is the reason I'm still here right now, and I'm just becoming better and better as a young man every single day. And I'm just so grateful, man. I'm just so grateful. And I can't wait till my name posts in that Teach system and it say, feel me, my name, New York State licensed educator. And that's something I could take with me for life. You know, I could hold that down. But now it's about expansion too. I think expansion, like, how can I use my teaching license to really, you know, expand into other fields and like use that as a credential, which I could really help the community. I don't just want to sit in a classroom my whole life. I want to teach people stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just another weapon in my arsenal, in my toolbox. And so I'm grateful for it. I'm not gonna keep y'all too long in this video. But yeah, this is that was the majority. That's kind of like the rundown, the brief version, the sum up version of how I became a New York State certified educator. With that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.